Hello and welcome to Entirely English. If you are one of my wonderful subscribers, then welcome back. We are continuing with our naval idioms, and today's letter is I.
I.
No,
I.
not that, not that I as in the letter I. So idioms beginning with I. There are quite a few, but what I'm doing here is kind of cheating, really. Most of these begin with the word in. So we will begin with in the offing. Now, the area of sea between the shore and the horizon was called the offing. So when a ship was seen in the offing, it was either leaving or returning to your port. So in the offing was an anticipation. We anticipate the ship's journey, where it's going, what it's going to do, or we anticipate it arriving and unloading all the wonderful merchandise from around the world. Today we use in the offing to mean something is about to happen. Not, as some people would say, something you think will happen. Something in the offing is imminent. Just like in a race, when the starter says, get ready, get set, before he says go, those racers, the competitors, are in the offing. They're ready to start. So it's about to go. A golfer at the tee with the club up here, ready to strike it. He's in the offing. It's about to happen. Okay? In the offing. Something which is prepared and going to happen. Our next phrase is in a trice. Now, a trice is an old naval term for a pulley system or a windlass. There's several different types, but the key thing is we talked about when ships came into dock before and the cargo was lifted from the hold and taken over. Now, it wasn't just one rope and one pulley. They had a system of pulley here, pulley here, pulley here, and the rope went up and down and up and down. So when you pulled it here, two things happened. One, the cargo was easier to lift. It effectively was lighter because of the pulley system. And secondly, because it was lighter, it was much quicker to move. So when the bosun said, move this, they would say in a trice. A trice, the windlass, pop, one pull, and it's out. So we use this nowadays. It's probably not so common now, but in a trice means very quickly, immediately. I'll do it in a trice. It's not going to be a problem. Done. The next one, we're going into the darker side of things again, is in dire straits. No, not them. Off. Dire straits. Dire comes from the old Latin word dirus, which meant terrible or fearsome. And straits were the narrow passages between bits of land where the water, the sea, was incredibly turbulent, very dangerous. So when a ship was travelling in the dire straits, it was in a very perilous situation where ships can be lost very easily. So we use the phrase dire straits when somebody is in a terrible situation. We can add an adjective at the beginning. So I am in financial dire straits. I've got no money, no recourse to money, and I've got bills to pay. Financial dire straits. When you're travelling across Morocco and your car breaks down in the middle of the desert, no one around, you're in dire straits. A really terrible situation. And then I think the last one I'm going to do for today is ironclad. Now this, not in, just ironclad, used as an adjective. And it's not as old as the other idioms we've looked at. This one originated around the 18th, 19th century, but still with the Navy. So you know from previous videos and from clips we've seen today that the ships were wooden. Now in the early mid 18th century they started putting brass around the body of the ship, and this had two benefits. One was the fact that it stopped the wood from rotting. It kept the sea away from the wood. Brass was quite expensive, so it only went up to the waterline. It didn't go all the way up, just the bottom, sort of half or a third of the ship. So it stopped the sea from rotting the wood. It also stopped parasites and barnacles and things that would eat the wood from getting onto it. One of the benefits of it for manufacture was that brass was very malleable. It was very easy to shape. But eventually, sort of mid-19th century, they started cladding the ships in iron. Now, iron had the same benefit as brass. It protected the wooden structure of the ship, but it was also an armour. It protected the ship from attacks from those old cannons. And then ironclad was a standard of ship, meaning that it had this body. It was strong. And in the idiom we use today, you'll still hear it again in the police dramas, etc. Ironclad means something unbreakable. So we say he has an ironclad alibi. We cannot prove he committed the murder because this alibi cannot be broken. He has an ironclad excuse for doing that. There's no argument with it. And I'll just do one more. In over your head. Sorry, we're back to in. If you're in over your head, it means that you're in trouble. So way back in the 16th century, right through to fairly recent times, most people couldn't swim. So if you went to the sea, you would only go in maybe to your waist, just paddling, walking in the water. Most people didn't like water. A lot of people didn't wash. Very horrible times. So you didn't want to be in over your head. If you're in over your head, you're in serious trouble, maybe like the Dire Straits. When we use that same idiom today, if a person is in over their head, they're in a situation which they cannot control. They're not good enough for it. So he volunteered to do this job, but he's in over his head. He doesn't have the qualifications to do it. Okay, I hope those were interesting for you. Just as a side note, I'm thinking of doing a series of videos on British and English manners. If you think that would be a good idea, pop a note in the comments. Alright, hope to see you again soon. Take care.